The Autobots and the Terminator have arrived. Megatron orders the Decepticons to attack. And hold on to your seats, my friends, because the final battle begins.
Now for a lesson. You may have heard these words before, but I'll teach you what they really mean. Go beyond! Plus! Ultra!
I told you guys.
I'll be back.
This story is insane, just full of ridiculousness. And I never thought I would say this, funny action. Oh, I almost forgot. Hey, what's up Beyonders, James here, and we are back with Transformers versus the Terminator. These are the last two issues in the miniseries. If you didn't watch my previous video covering the first two, click the card right here or check out the description box below. With that being said, let's get right into it. So part 3 opens inside the Ark with more of the Autobots reactivated. Besides Optimus and Bumblebee, we see Ratchet, Velocity, Wheeljack, and RC, with them working on reactivating more of the Autobots. The funny thing we see here is Sarah is helping Bumblebee lift Grimlock, which is funny. While the T-800 refuses to help, she calls for the cyborg's help as he scans, and it shows her as a threat level rising, which is hilarious. She approaches the T-800 asking for his name, and he describes himself as Cyberdyne Systems Model 101 T-800 Terminator Unit, which is a callback to how Kyle Reese described him in the first Terminator film. The cyborg refuses to help because even though Sarah made him see reason enough to work with the Autobots, he tells Sarah his objective is to eliminate Cybertronians, not help weak ones, which Bumblebee overhears. Ratchet informs Optimus that they've gotten every Autobot functioning that they can. The other Autobots like Grimlock here need extensive repairs and energon. So if any of you were like me, hoping to see Grimlock in action, I hate to break it to you, it won't be happening in this story unfortunately. I think this was done because during the release of this series, he had his own solo miniseries going on called King Grimlock, which I might eventually cover. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see that. We then get the Ark's status from Wheeljack when Optimus asks. He answers that most of the Ark systems are functional except one offline probe, and that's the probe we know that the Terminator destroyed. Also that the Ark won't be flying anytime soon. Even if they did get an influx of energon, because of the damages that Decepticons caused, it wouldn't be possible. However, Optimus is optimistic. I couldn't resist saying that, because they have two of the finest medics and the greatest Cybertronian engineer operational. He orders Wheeljack to locate Megatron and Ratchet to continue repairing the rest of the damaged Autobots. The rest of the team will be divided into 3 teams. He and Velocity will search for any possible energon sources, Bumblebee will take Sarah home, and RC and the Terminator will sweep the immediate area for any signs of Decepticon activity. The Terminator tells RC he doesn't have any weapons, and RC mentions that she can help with that. After the Autobots transform into their alt forms, Optimus says, "Autobots, roll out." At Cyberdyne Systems, the Decepticons have successfully defeated all resistance. Thundercracker reports to Megatron the status of their takeover of the robotics lab. Starscream has rounded up all the scientists. We see him interrogating them, asking for information about the T-800, initially assuming it has to be the human's leader since it's an advanced life form in his eyes. He tries to make a deal with the scientists. He'll help them take out the Terminator if they help him take out Megatron, which I found weird because he views them as a fragile, low life form, so why would you ask them for help or even try to make a deal with them? But anyways, when they answer they have no idea who he's talking about, it appears Starscream takes them out. Soundwave and Refractor are creating energon cubes with the electricity from Cyberdyne's manufacturing plant. Skywarp is on the lookout for any Autobot forces, and the Decepticons are looking for other T-800 units, but haven't found anything yet. This final detail of the report angers Megatron. He demands they find them. Even though Megatron isn't aware the Terminator unit is from the future and hasn't been created at this point in time, this is a smart move because it's too dangerous to have an enemy who knows a lot about you, and that's what worries Megatron. But he also wants the Terminator to pay for destroying one of his optics, which we see now has been repaired. Speaking of the newly repaired optic, on the west coast of Oregon, following the Decepticons' trail, Optimus and Velocity find a Cybertronian optic casing and the charred remains of the surfers and their dune buggy. This saddens Optimus. He tells Velocity they must stop Megatron to prevent more loss. From there, we go to Bumblebee driving Sarah home after making a stop. Sarah tells Bumblebee that she can't return to her normal life with everything she knows now. When Bumblebee suggests she joins the Autobots because she's proven herself to be a warrior, Sarah responds that she doesn't want her life to be defined by escaping death at the hands of evil robots. I mean, who's gonna tell her? Yeah, it doesn't look good over here, Sarah. It does not look good at all, though the last clip of her is so badass. So Sarah turns on the radio and suddenly the broadcast is interrupted by a news update that reports the attack on Cyberdyne systems. While that's going on, RC brings the T-800 to the Ark's armory. Since Optimus trusts him, she offers the Terminator his pick of any Cybertronian weapon. Though the weapons are much bigger than him, RC informs him whatever weapon he chooses, the Teletron can format down to his size. However, this offer does come with a warning. RC pulls out her Energon sword and points it at the Terminator. She swears that if he turns that weapon on any of the Autobots, he will find out how much experience as a warrior she has. The Terminator acknowledges her threat and responds with his own, swearing that before the day is done, she'll find out how much experience as a warrior he has. Now, what happens next is kind of annoying because not only did the T-800 grab a Cybertronian blaster, but also grabbed a bunch of explosives. As RC checks in on Wheeljack and Ratchet, the Terminator is planting these explosives all over the Ark, and none of the Autobots see this. This was my reaction to seeing this. Even as they leave to scout the area, he scatters even more bombs around the Ark's perimeter when RC conveniently isn't looking. Like, seriously? As they stop to check on the Sky Spy that the Terminator shot down, RC receives a transmission from Bumblebee informing the Autobots that he's found the Decepticons. And that's where we go to next. Bumblebee and Sarah on the ridge inspecting the Decepticons. Bumblebee, wanting to keep Sarah safe from harm, tells her to stay while he goes to stall the Decepticons. But they have the worst luck. Skywarp takes notice of both of them from the sky, teleports down and says, "Surprise," and immediately starts firing at them. Bumblebee quickly grabs Sarah and transforms into his alt form, driving away towards the rest of the Decepticons as Skywarp chases them. When Sarah points this out, Bumblebee reveals he plans to have Skywarp collide with the rest of his brethren. Even though this was a brilliant plan, Skywarp proves too smart to fall for the trick. He teleports back into the sky, ready to fire upon Bumblebee, until, out of nowhere, Skywarp is shot out of the sky. The Autobots and the Terminator have arrived. Megatron orders the Decepticons to attack, and hold on to your seats, my friends, because the final battle begins. Soundwave blasts Bumblebee back, and RC leaps onto Thundercracker, stabbing him with her Energon sword. Once on his feet, Bumblebee tells Sarah to leave and contact Wheeljack and Ratchet for reinforcements. Now we get the epic clash of Optimus Prime versus Megatron, which is awesome. Optimus hits him with the classic line when he says, "One shall stand, one shall fall." Megatron replies, "Fool, you throw your life away so recklessly." This exchange is referencing the exchange they had in the Transformers 1986 film. We then see Terminator going one-on-one against Refractor, but the fight doesn't last long. The T-800 pinpoints Refractor's face as a weakness and hurls the Cybertronian explosive charge. As soon as it lands on Refractor's face, the T-800 detonates it. At the Ark, Wheeljack is monitoring the battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons. He informs Ratchet that they need help. So I think the writers didn't realize they made a mistake because Bumblebee tells Sarah to contact Ratchet and Wheeljack for help. Yet Wheeljack is monitoring the battle and can see that they need help. Regardless, Ratchet tells him that he can get the rest of the Autobots online with a little more time. Unfortunately, this will never happen because the Terminator didn't just activate the explosive on Refractor's face, but all of them. The planet bombs on the Ark activate, and when this catches Wheeljack and Ratchet's attention, it's already too late. The explosion causes Mount St. Hilary to erupt, and the Ark ends up being completely obliterated. most of the Autobots have fallen. And I wish I could say this is a fake out that they come back later, but this isn't the case at all. They are gone. After the Terminator takes out Refractor, Velocity gives him props. None of the Autobots are aware of what the T-800 has done. Suddenly, Starscream appears in front of the Terminator, with one of his Lance blasters aimed at him and another at the Cyberdyne scientist that we thought he disposed of earlier, saying, "I figured out your secret. If I destroy the flesh bags, you cease to exist. So let's cut a deal." And that's the end of part 3. From there, we're going right into part 4, where this final battle gets even crazier. So it opens right where we left off. The deal Starscream proposes to the Terminator is he'll spare the scientist, ensuring its creation, if he will help him take out Megatron, and afterwards, they both can rule Earth together. Now, how Starscream figured this out, we don't know. Either way, the Terminator sees through Starscream's deception. He remembers Starscream's words describing his kind as slave bots during the attack on Skynet's Omega base. The Terminator then scans all the scientists, and its onboard system reveals that none of them are critical to Skynet's future. Despite that, the T-800 still takes Starscream's deal, planning to use one of Starscream's tools against him, deceit. We quickly go to Sarah trying to reach Wheeljack and Ratchet, which we already know is unnecessary. Ravage ends up finding her, and then from there we go to the awesome battle. We see RC taking out Kickback as the Decepticons surround her, Bumblebee, and Velocity. I love the back and forth between Velocity and Bumblebee. She's confident that they can take them all out, and Bumblebee is like, "Yeah, but Soundwave is coming." And Velocity asks, "Oh, so we're doomed?" Bumblebee replies, "Yep." As Soundwave is coming towards them, he detects Sarah's transmission and sees that it's unable to reach the Ark. But before he can inform Megatron, out of nowhere, he is blasted through his torso by Starscream with the T-800 in the cockpit. What happens next is the most ridiculous, funniest, and coolest thing in this series. As Optimus and Megatron fight, Starscream swoops in over them and ejects the Terminator. The Terminator comes down as a missile toward Megatron, blasting away at his chest, creating an opening in his armor. Yes, it's ridiculous, but pretty cool at the same time. This only annoys Megatron. He grabs the T-800 and hurls him at Starscream, forcing him to crash. Optimus takes advantage of this opportunity to strike Megatron in his chest with his Energon axe. Now, just like their fight in Autocracy I recently covered, instead of killing Megatron, he pleads with Megatron to give up and offers him an opportunity to work together for the sake of their people. Optimus says, "End this now or I'll end it for you." Megatron, being a stubborn badass, replies, uppercutting Optimus, "Then I'll end it. I fear nothing. I am fear itself." What happens next is kind of another ridiculous moment. We quickly go back to moments earlier when Ravage found Sarah. After he found her, Ravage was immediately distracted by Starscream's attack on Soundwave. Sarah kicks the door open saying, "Alright, round 2. She leaps toward Ravage and says, "Prepare for termination." Ravage quickly stops her, but when he gets up close, she pulls out what seems like a handgun into Ravage's mouth and fires, killing Ravage. Sarah even says, "I can't believe that worked." Neither can we, Sarah. Neither can we. Back at the battle, we see RC taking out Skywarp and Thundercracker. Even though we saw Skywarp getting blown up at the start of the battle, and moments later we saw RC stabbing Thundercracker, I guess we're just supposed to overlook this. Anyways, Velocity and Bumblebee take out the Decepticons by pulling off a high-low move, just like the Wreckers did, but instead of attacking, they just dodge, having the Decepticons take out each other. We go to Sarah trying to pull the Terminator out from underneath an unconscious Starscream. The T-800 purposely pulls itself off from its lower limbs. Now, this action seemed unnecessary to me because seconds later Starscream wakes and transforms. Starscream, seeing the Terminator won't be useful anymore against Megatron, prepares to kill him, revealing that it was always his plan to betray him after they killed Megatron. He assures the T-800 that he'll have the humans make more of him so they can be his slaves. Suddenly, Starscream gets blasted by a heavily damaged Soundwave and ends up fleeing the battle. Soundwave then blames Sarah and the Terminator for causing the downfall of the Decepticons, saying that they both must be terminated. Sarah and the T-800 blast away with their small firearms at Soundwave's open wound, killing him. Yeah, I bet some of you right now are like me when I read this. However, what happens next is kinda cool. So when Bumblebee arrives, Sarah tells him that she couldn't reach the Ark. The Terminator tells Bumblebee that its objective is still incomplete. Cybertronians are still functioning, though there are far fewer. For some reason, Bumblebee overlooked that comment. Bumblebee agrees to help, and the Terminator instructs him to throw him to Velocity. Once he reaches Velocity, he tells her to throw him to RC. But just before she does, she mentions that this might be his end, and that she might not be able to fix him. As she's in the process of throwing him, he reveals that she won't have the tools to save anyone. When he gets to RC, she commends him for fighting like a true warrior and asks him if he has any last words. RC hurls him towards Megatron, and the Terminator answers, "Freedom is the right of all sentient beings." The T-800 lands in Megatron's chest and blasts his spark, killing the mighty Megatron. After the battle, the surviving Decepticons are taken as prisoners. Optimus praises the Terminator in his inner monologue for ensuring their victory and hope he changed his future, but wonders what the cost was. While loading the prisoners into Optimus's trailer, Bumblebee asks Sarah one more time to join the Autobots, but she declines, explaining that she'll stay and do what she can for the human survivors, and lie to the cops about what happened in order to keep them from ever finding out about the Autobots, but she promises to always keep an eye on them. Later, when the Autobots arrive at Mount St. Hilary, they see that the Ark is gone, nothing left but molten rock. They all finally realize that the Terminator betrayed them. The T-800's words now make sense to Velocity. The Autobots are left broken and lost, having lost their friends and their only way home. When the Insecticons offer to excavate to see if there are any survivors, Optimus tells the Autobots that though it pains him, they should let go of the past, mourn their comrades, and move forward. He urges the Decepticons to do the same, and accepts the Insecticons' offer, but mentions not until it's safe to do so. Since so few Cybertronians are left and Megatron is dead, he proposes a truce between the Autobots and Decepticons, at least until they can find a way back home to Cybertron, and in the meantime, live on Earth in secret, not interfering in the affairs of the humans. Both sides agree, and then weirdly do a group high five while saying, "Till all are one." Optimus looks out at the lake of molten magma. He hopes the Terminator is free in death since he completed his mission and helped them end the Cybertronian war. I find it so weird that the Decepticons and Autobots high-five each other, saying "till all are one," especially since they were just battling to the death and Skywarp a minute ago was boasting about how they deserved to lose their friends. What's also a bit weird is Optimus was so quick to move forward. Out of everyone, I would expect him to be the most devastated. In all honesty though, this is just a consequence of a rushed story. Sometimes writers will have characters act out of character for the story's sake so that it can move forward. Nevertheless, we go to a sort of epilogue here. After some time, we see Sarah walking past Big Jeff's restaurant and into a building next door, revealed to be owned by Skywatch, her new place of employment. We are close to the end, but I forgot to mention this in the last video. For those of you not aware, Skywatch is part of IDW's Transformer continuity. We will meet them again in Spotlight Soundwave once we reach it in our journey of covering IDW's Transformerverse, because Skywatch is a covert government organization that deals with Cybertronians. It is cool how they connected the two in this story. We see Sarah seems to be someone of importance within Skywatch, and she's keeping her promise to the Autobots by using the company's technology to keep watch over them. Now, if you think this story has a happy ending, you'd be wrong, because beneath Jeff's restaurant is Skywatch's secret project, Skynet. We see scientists studying and reverse engineering Megatron's body in order to create an army consisting of HK tanks, airborne drones, Terminators, and T-8000s looking very much like Megatron. It doesn't end there. Skynet goes online and plans to revive Megatron and create the advanced T-800. And that is the end of Transformers versus the Terminator. Yeah, IDW leaves us on yet another cliffhanger. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you made it to the end, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and if you want more Transformers content, check out one of my videos right here. Other than that, have a fantastic day, take care, and always remember every day to transform and go beyond. See you later, Beyonders.